The discussion of value is perhaps the second biggest issue and concern I have with the whole discussion on hoarding, as well as in many other places. Value is sometimes treated as a given, as something that is inherent and obvious in the object, or at least in the context. And then authors proceed to make statements about objects having or not having value. But the problem is, value is just like truth, beauty, and other such things, very much relative to the speaker, to the observer. And when the entire discussion is based on such fleeting concept, such ill-defined concept, then the entire argument involving that becomes suspect. And I will demonstrate why that is the case. The discussion often goes something like this. An author of a book on hoarding makes a statement such as, the apartment is full of worthless possessions, possessions without value to the hoarder or to someone else. By the way, the concept of worthless or having worth is just another way of saying value. And the problem with that is immediately that the author does not state value according to whom. Is it value according to the author, to the researcher on hoarding, to the owner of these possessions, to their significant other, to a casual observer, according to whom? And that's where it all falls apart. The entire discussion becomes worthless. And here's a few examples why this is indeed pointless to talk about value without reference to the owner, to the person for whom this value is intended. Let's say we have two characters. Alice, not mechanically inclined, and Bob, who is very much mechanically inclined, who is a handyman, who likes to tinker, and we consider the object in question a wrench. Let's see, one of those adjustable wrench tools, or generally any wrench or any tool. So the object has a certain price tag while it's in the store. So let's say we buy it from a store and we present it to these two characters, Alice and Bob. Alice does not know what to do with it, or care, or is interested. To her, it has absolutely zero value. And this is quite regardless of the price that we just purchased it from, let's say for $20 from a hardware store. So in the store, it had value to the store owners. In the hands of Alice, it has no value, even though it's brand new, even though it's perfectly functional, even though it's apparent to most people that it is not garbage. But yet, it has no value. She could keep it, Alice, or she could just, may as well throw it out or give it away, or put it to the curb, or give it to the neighbor, which may or may not be Bob. Now, to Bob, let's say it is something that could could be a welcome addition to his collection of tools. Let's say it's a different type, it's a different size, it's something that he wanted for his birthday. It has value. It's quite adequate for the price, and perhaps even more value than the price if it's a coveted item. So to Bob, it has definite value. And then we could throw in more characters like Chris the caveman, for whom the only value he can think of is bashing someone or something with it, like a tool or a weapon. And or Mary the millionaire, for whom, again, it doesn't have very much value, not only because she's a millionaire, but also because she hires people to do any mechanical jobs for her, and she has absolutely no interest in using the wrench herself. So we see one object, vastly different perceptions of value. And so what is the value? The value according to whom, to which one of these characters? Example number 2, even more obvious. Let's pull out of our pockets a $20 bill. Money, value. It might seem nothing is more apparent, nothing is more definite than value there, and yet let's repeat this kind of same kind of experiment. Only the characters might be slightly differently positioned. Let's say to a starving and poor person, the value is very definite. They may buy themselves some food, they may pay some bill, top up their very badly starving bank account, or do a number of things, and they will consider it welcome relief for their ailing cash flows. Now, to a more normal and average person who is not doing so badly financially, the value is somewhat less. They may still appreciate it, but they will just as well give it away. I give it to the poor person in question, to a beggar on the corner, to a charity, or buy themselves a sandwich on the spot, or maybe even put it in their bank account. But again, this is not going to be much for them. For Mary the millionaire, even more so. To her, it's completely nothing. It may not even be worth picking it up and putting it in a pocket or a wallet. Now, go back to Chris the caveman. To Chris the caveman, the value is, again, it's just some kind of weird leaf kind of thing. The value is not at all apparent, and you can't hunt with it, you can't cut things with it, you can't eat it, so value? No value. Or to Steve the survivalist. Let's say there's a person named Steve in a survival situation in the wilderness, and they have the $20 bill. Although normally they know what it's for and its rough value to them under normal circumstances, currently they are trying to survive in the wilderness. So for the moment, the value is not that much. Can you use it to defend yourself against wild animals, to make shelter? Probably not so much. So they may or may not find it worth keeping, but for the moment, the value is not there. Again, one object, vastly different perceptions of value. So, and then we can talk about sentimental value, objects with sentimental value, symbolic, collectible, or just arbitrary. The person can just say they feel this has value, and it will have value. Let's not forget that ultimately it's the owner who decides whether something does or does not have value. One can simply decide that it does, and then boom, it does. So when a discussion touches on the value, that's instantly a discussion that's based on a very ill-defined and arbitrary concept, and perhaps represents more than anything else presumption of value, presumption on the part of the authors or whoever is speaking about the value, because it's quite pointless, as demonstrated, for anyone to be talking or making pronouncements about the value except the owner of the object. You may ask the owner what the value is to them, and they may or may not even be able to articulate it completely, depending on who they are and how perceptive they are, and how they feel about it, and a bunch of other things. But definitely the owner is the first and last authority on the value. So, and unfortunately, so much of the discussion uses this ill-defined term. Even some of the more respectable authors of books, although they generally acknowledge this, they still include in their discussion statements using value as something that is given. So much for the value. Let's not be talking about the value unless it's your object.